What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sports Stuff 101. In today's video, we'll be talking about Big Ten football. Yesterday they met. Um, uh, all the Big Ten teams met yesterday, and to discuss the upcoming 2024-25 schedule and the future schedule for upcoming seasons. And that was aired last night on Big Ten Network on 4:30. They met, obviously. As you know, Big Ten spending, I mean, two more teams. Spending to, I think, 14 or 16 teams, I can't remember exactly the number, but adding USC and UCLA from the Pac-12. And so what they did was, for 2025, they said we'll do this Flex Protect Plus scheduling modules, okay? Where schools will have two play opponents that will play both home and away in 2024 and 25. And then they have protected opponents which will play annually beyond 2015, so home and alternate between home and away. And those protected opponents are usually going to be the rivals. Right? They sure they Big Ten. I was looking at this too. A schedule too. We'll look at football 24-5, but they did a good job of protecting the biggest rivals in the Big Ten. Okay, the big rivals. So like Michigan State, Michigan State, or I guess Wisconsin and Iowa, or Purdue and Indiana. So those are some of the ones that, the big ones, UC. So they protect that. And then the other teams you see here, I'm on the screen now, I'm going to show you now, but the ones in the white are the protected teams, obviously. And the blue teams are the two-play teams. We'll put them home and away. So, for example, let's look at Iowa. Iowa, for example. They don't have any blue teams, right? So that's the only team that will have two play. Some teams will have two play, some teams won't, right? Let's look at Maryland, for example. Maryland will play Indiana, Michigan, both 2024 and 25, one at home, if we one year home and 1 year away. I want to show that how they're working schedule. So let's take a look. We'll break down each team, also with the schedule for 2024 and 25. And then in the end, I'll give my opinion. Michigan also picked keeping the 9-game conference style, which I like. Good. No more divisions. Good. Let's start with Illinois. We'll go from left down to Wisconsin. So let's start with Illinois. Their protected opponents will be Northwestern and Purdue. Right? So those are two teams that play annually beyond the 2025 season. They will play Ohio State in 2024-25, but doesn't mean they'll play Ohio State again. Yes, they will. They'll probably play them again maybe 2026 or something. So there's that. For Indiana, their two-play opponents are Michigan State and Maryland. The protected opponent, which is the rivalry, is against Purdue. Iowa has three protected opponents: Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, all from the west side. There's that. So Maryland has two-play opponents: Indiana and Michigan, and they'll play Rutgers as a protected opponent. Michigan has Maryland as the two-play opponent. Michigan State and Ohio State as the permanent opponents. Remember, Michigan's not going to play Penn State every year. So Michigan play this year, 2023. You won't see that to 2025. Right? I'm sure that's schedule. And Indiana Indiana and Penn State are the two-play opponents for Michigan State, and the obviously big opponent would be Michigan. For Minnesota, the two protected opponents are Iowa and Wisconsin. The two-play opponent is Nebraska. Nebraska will play Iowa as a protected opponent, and will play Minnesota and USC as a two-play opponent. And then we'll take a look at Northwestern. Illinois will be a permanent protected opponent. Ohio State, Purdue will be a two-play opponent. Ohio State, they got Illinois as the two-play opponent. Michigan is a permanent protected opponent, and Northwestern is a two-play opponent. Penn State has apparently all three. They have zero spies. Look at this. See, example of this. See, Iowa is the only team that doesn't have any two-play opponent. Penn State has zero protected opponents, but they play two-play opponents. There's Michigan State, Rutgers, and USC. Purdue's got Indiana and Illinois as their permanent protected opponents, and then Northwestern as the two-play. Rutgers got Maryland as a protected one. Penn State and UCLA will be there to play. USCLA will have Rutgers and Nebraska as the 2-play opponent, and USC versus the rivalry game will be the protected one. The Penn State has USC has Penn State and Wisconsin as the 2-play, and then USC will be the protected one, and with Wisconsin having Iowa and Minnesota being the protected opponents, and USC being the 2-play opponents. Based on this scheduling, it's not bad. Scheduling I like this protection plus. Why it is important? They did this. I think because they did a good job of this. Okay, it may not be perfect, but they were able to handle it, took leadership, and do something right. This is a good. I'd say a good idea. So this is where good. Because what they did is they basically we'll go take all the rivalry games like Michigan State, Michigan State, Illinois Purdue, Illinois Northwestern, Rutgers Maryland. See Iowa and Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, USC, UCLA. So those are the ones that are the big ones. So they protected. So basically, the teams you play annually, the protected ones are usually your rivals. Okay, so those ones in white are gonna be your rivals. The ones in blue you play in 2024 and 2025 as of your 2-play. Alright, so you play you'll see Maryland 1 year at home, the next year you play Maryland Road, and the Maryland home. So they kind of alternate between there. And then after that, I'll go out. So then after 2025, the idea is you will play every opponent at least every other year. So within 4 years, you'll at least play at least for 2 years. So by 4 years, for every 4 years, you'll have played every Big Ten team. So it's set up to where you play them every other year. I like that. So Michigan may play Maryland, Ohio State, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, for example, in 1 year, and next year. So after you play the 1 year, the next year you play the team you didn't play that year, and then you play the year. The way it works is, so let's say 2024 you played certain teams, right? Whoever played 2024 will be your opponent for 2026. Whoever played 2025 will be your opponent for 2027, and so your 2024 opponents will be for every year. So 24, 26. They play 26, again 28. The 28, 30, and so forth. Same thing. 2025 opponents play 2027. Then you'll play again 2029, 2031, and then all the way till 30. So until Big Ten expands. But to those, how it's going to work out. So let's take a look at each of the schedule for 2024 and 2025. Again, I'll break down game by game. In this case, we'll start with 24. All right. So here we have the teams listed up here. The ones in the white here are the away games. The one in gray is going to be your home team. So we're going to look at 2024 and 2025. Let's get started. So in 2024, Illinois will play Michigan State, Northwestern, Ohio State, Rutgers, and USC. In 2024, those will be the away games for Illinois. Illinois gets Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, and Purdue at home. Indiana has Michigan State, Nebraska, Northwestern, Wisconsin on the road, and Maryland, Minnesota, Penn State, Purdue, and UCLA at home. Iowa has Illinois, Minnesota, Ohio State, Rutgers, USC at the road. Maryland, Nebraska, UCLA, and Wisconsin at home games. Maryland gets Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan on the road. And Michigan State gets Purdue, Rutgers, USC, and Wisconsin at home. Michigan, they get Illinois, Ohio State, Rutgers, USC on the road. They get Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, UCLA, and Wisconsin at home. Michigan State gets Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Penn State on the road. They got Illinois, Indiana, Ohio State, Purdue, Rutgers at home. Then Minnesota gets Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and UCLA on the road. They get Iowa, Northwestern, Ohio State, and Rutgers Nebraska, they get Iowa, Western, Purdue, Penn State, UCLA on the road. They get Indiana, Michigan State, Minnesota, Wisconsin at home. Northwestern gets two. They get Minnesota, Ohio State, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA on the road. They get Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska, and USC at home. Ohio State gets Michigan State, Minnesota, Penn State, UCLA on the road. They get Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Northwestern, and Rutgers at home. Penn State will get Indiana, Purdue, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Nebraska. So Purdue, Indiana, Rutgers, Wisconsin will be away games for Penn State, Michigan State, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, USC at home. Purdue, they get Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. And on the road, then they get Nebraska, Northwestern, Penn State, USC at home. Rutgers, they get Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, Ohio State on the road. Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Penn State, and UCLA at home. USC gets Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers on the road. They get Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, and USC at home. They get USC, gets Maryland, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA on the road. Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin at home. And Wisconsin will get Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, USC on the road. And then Indiana will get Indiana, Minnesota, Penn State, and Purdue at home. So this is 2024 opponents. The idea for this schedule is every team. So see here, not every team. Like for example, Michigan State. I think it's only one team I can think of. Yeah, so far Michigan State is probably the only team I've seen so far. Will not play one team or one of the new two teams will probably play them next year, 2025. So at least everybody will play the new two teams. UCLA once, right? So everybody will play this. So basically, 2024 opponents will be your opponents for 2026, 2028, 30, and so ever you keep going and so forth. This will be your opponent. So Michigan will play these opponents in 2026 again. Then they'll play again in 2028. So they alternate every 2 years for that. So not bad schedule. We also don't know dates when these games will be played, but these are against the Gen F they worth playing conference. This is just remember conference opponents. We don't know about non-conference. Different. I look at 2025. See, 2025 you can notice is a completely different schedule from the previous year. So whoever played 2024, you're not gonna play 2025. Remember, whoever played 2024, you'll play 2026, and then you play again 2028, 2030. So you're alternate every 2 years, and then every other years. Then 2025, whoever you play in 2024, you won't play in 2025. Whoever you don't play in 2024, you'll play in 2025. So in 2025, you play the exact same opponents in 2027, 29, 31, 33, and so on and so forth. So whoever plays 25, you play again to 29, 27, then 29, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of the 2 year rotation. And it's perfect because you can play everybody at least once every 2 years, which is good. So keeps like I said, it's not a perfect idea. Obviously, the SEC will do just something different. We'll get to that in a second. In a different video when the SEC comes out with the rest schedule, but it's gonna be a little different. So it's not bad, it's not perfect, but it's not a bad idea though. And then Big Ten did a good job though. And Big Ten did a good job also really keeping the potential rivalries. The one rivalry game I'm really surprised that the Big Ten did not keep intact, and I was surprised they will not keep it here is the Michigan and Minnesota. I thought battle for little drug. I am a little bit surprised that Michigan because it's a big rivalry, and we don't play Minnesota as often. I also will play this year, I'll play them next year, I think. I look at the schedule, but we don't play them often, so really it's going to be. We'll play. See, Michigan will play. Look, they play 2024, so they will play to 26th and 8th. So I'm really surprised they'll play every year. I know that's probably because let's give a team, keep my best rivalry. But I guess, but that's usually a big rivalry. Michigan will now play Penn State every year, like I mentioned. Michigan, Penn State, I don't think it's going to be every year opponent because I don't think Michigan State played Penn State. Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, so Michigan State and Penn State is not the permanent opponent. They will play back to back. So what's going to happen is for Michigan Penn State, so they play Penn State right this year, right, 2025. Then they will play them again 2027, and then 20. So it's going to be weird, but you're going to basically play every team every 2 years, if that makes sense. It's a bit concept to understand, but it is simple. So let's go break down 2025 and see what the point is of. So then again, remember, 2025 points who will play 2024 will not play 25. Who will play 2025, you'll play until 2027. So let's get started. So here we go. I'm gonna go down instead of from left to right. I'm gonna go up and down. So I'm gonna do Illinois, Northwestern, Indiana, Ohio State, Iowa. It'll be a lot easier this way. So I'm gonna go up and down until I get to Wisconsin. So Illinois, 2025, they got Nebraska, Penn State, Purdue, Wisconsin on the road. Indiana, Minnesota, Northwestern, Ohio State, USLA at home. So notice they won't play what? Michigan State. They don't get Michigan. They got some other teams. Iowa. They get Indiana. Some other teams that they could play in 2025. Oh no, yeah. So no Michigan State. So that's Northwestern, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan State on the road. Maryland, Ohio State, Purdue, Rutgers, Wisconsin at home. Indiana gets Illinois, Maryland, Ohio State, Purdue, USC, and the road. Iowa will get Michigan, and Iowa, Michigan State, and Rutgers at home. Excuse me. They get Ohio State gets Illinois, Michigan, Northwestern, Purdue, Wisconsin on the road. They get Indiana, Maryland, Nebraska, USC at home. Iowa gets Indiana, Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin on the road. Michigan will play. Michigan, Michigan State, Nebraska, Northwestern, Minnesota, and Penn State all at home. Penn State gets Iowa, Maryland, Michigan State, USC on the road. They get Illinois, Minnesota, Rutgers, UCLA at home. And then, alright, so put Michigan, Maryland gets Minnesota, Northwestern, Ohio State, Rutgers, UCLA on the road. They get Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska, Penn State at home. Purdue gets Michigan, Northwestern, Rutgers, UCLA on the road. They get Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio State at home. Michigan, they get Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan State, Nebraska on the road. Then they got Northwestern, Ohio State, Penn State, Purdue at home. Rutgers gets Indiana, Nebraska, Northwestern, Penn State, USC on the road. Then they get Maryland, Purdue, USC, Wisconsin on the home. Michigan State gets Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and USC on the road. Then they get Michigan, Northwestern, USC, and Penn State at home. USC gets Illinois, Michigan State, Nebraska, Penn State, USC on the road. And then Maryland gets Purdue. They get Michigan. USC gets Maryland, Purdue, Rutgers, Wisconsin at home. And then Minnesota gets Iowa, Illinois, Penn State, Purdue on the road. Maryland, Michigan State, Nebraska, USC, Wisconsin at home. USC gets Wisconsin, Rutgers, Ohio State, and Minnesota on the road. They got Indiana, Michigan State, Nebraska, Penn State, USA at home. Nebraska gets Maryland, Minnesota, Ohio State, USC on the road. They get Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers, and USA at home. And Wisconsin, they get Northwestern, Minnesota, Rutgers, UCLA on the road. And they get USC, Michigan State, Ohio State, Iowa, and Illinois at home. So there you go. There's your 2025 and 2024 opponents. So again, so there's your 2024 conference opponents, home and away, from Illinois all the way to Wisconsin. For Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan State, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, USC, UCLA, Rutgers, Purdue, Penn State, and Ohio State, Nebraska, all conference games have been released for 2024 as well as for 2025. Remember, whoever played 2024 would not play in 2025 unless it's a two-play opponent. You will play, whoever played 2024 play 2026, and whoever so on and beyond And if you remember, whoever played 2024, whoever you don't play 2024, you play 2025, and then whoever played 2025, you won't play again to 2027. And the only thing that only games that is played annually will be your protected opponents right here, which your rival games like Michigan State, Michigan Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, Illinois Northwestern, Maryland Rutgers, Iowa, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, USC, USA. So those are the ones that will be played annually beyond to have alternate between home and away every single year. So there you go. So every year you have one big game. There's some games, so at least a team will play. Yeah. So then again, so here's your 2024-25 two play opponents, and then your protected one. And so there you have it. 2024 and 2025 opponents released. Schedule is released. At least in terms of conference dates and everything will be changed once we know the season. But there you go, guys. That's it for the Big Ten football schedules out. Again, here's a two points. So you have your protected opponents here and two play here. Points in blue. White will be your protected opponent for every year. There's a 2024 schedule. And then your 2025 schedule. And remember, every team you play 2024, you won't play into 25. And you don't play 2024, you play 25, and you alternate every year. This is the way we keep all the rivalries, the big rivalries, and every team will play every 2 years. So this is how the Big Ten will do it. Keeping 9 games, no divisions, and they're calling this the Flex Plus Protection Module. I mean, that may not be perfect, but hey, at least they do something right and get something going. So hopefully, SEC can follow some of this. Obviously, they'll do something different, but we'll talk about SEC next week when they make their schedule for 2024. Alright, guys, that's it. I'm Sports Talk signing out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.